In this project, we're going to make a corned beef. Well, half a corned beef. We're going to use what is about half a center cut beef brisket. Normally, a center cut beef brisket is going to run you 5-6 pounds, maybe 7 pounds, something like that. This particular piece of meat is 2.84 pounds. By the time I trim the excess fat off with the back of it, will be probably pretty close to 2.5 pounds. I'm going to basically make a half batch of spice, and for that spice we'll need a few things. Now, some recipes will even use, quote, pickling spice. So a lot of these things that we're using are in what would be made up into commercial pickling spice. Now, some pickling spices are a little different than others. This one does not have any paprika in it. A lot of times we will have paprika in a recipe like that, but we're going to have the powdered chili, which is chili peppers that are ground up. Is not chili powder that you would find to make firehouse chili or anything. That's just hot peppers. You've got your coriander powder, yellow mustard seed, dark brown sugar, light brown sugar will work. Have a little crushed black pepper or peppercorns if you want to use those. Add them in there. Whole cloves, whole fennel seeds, bay leaf, allspice, ginger powder. Morton Tender Quick is your salt and your cure. Need a little water. You could use a little more, a little less, depending on how you bag it. You will also need 2 pieces of equipment. You'll need a spice grinder, which is basically a coffee grinder that's clean of coffee. Then you'll need a vacuum sealer. Now, this particular vacuum sealer, what you want to do is you don't want to actually pull the vacuum that'll pull brine into the unit. You don't want to do that. What you do want to do is just use as much as you can to get the air out by hand, and then just use the lip to seal the bag like you would if you were making a bag. That's all you want to do. You don't want to pull the salt solution and spices up into your machine. But then what we do when we get the meat in with the brine, sealed in a bag, we let it sit for about 5 days per inch of thickness. This recipe, when you corn meat, you need a relatively thin piece of meat, like a brisket. You wouldn't like do a ham or something like that. It's too big and too thick. So the rule of thumb is 5 days per inch of meat. So this one may be about I'm guessing maybe a week. Maybe by next Saturday we'll cook this thing up. And then you just cook it in a pot, boiling water, drop it down the simmer, and just let it cook 3 or 4 hours. Yeah, that'll do it. Anyway, on with the show. Now, don't be afraid to make a little adjustment here and there. Not every recipe is exactly the same. This may not be like your grandma make her corned beef. But see right there, I used pre-ground, coarse ground black pepper. Well, I mean, I've got the black pepper right there. We can put it in here and do the grind. The recipe, actually, I usually do that. But, you know, it's not going to hurt if you have, for instance, ground cloves instead of the whole cloves. You just need to adjust your quantities a teeny tiny bit. And a lot of this is going to be done by your time and your experimentation. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this and put this up here. See the bay leaves in there? Seeds and all, put it in there, and then we'll grind that, and then we'll just dump it in here, add the water, do a little stirring up action, and then take a vacuum seal bag, put her in there after we trim the meat, and it's going to be pretty straightforward. Now, this is going to be difficult. Now we dump this in. Now we just add our water. And what we'll do is we'll mix this up real good into the spice brine, add it to a plastic bag, and we'll let her sit in the refrigerator. Now, we've trimmed our fat, excess fat from the half brisket, the little piece here. Let's just, for kicks and giggles, see how much fat we pulled off. 9.8 ounces. A little more than, what, half a pound. And I had estimated, what, be pretty close to 2.5 pounds with the meat. Let's see if we can get her to fold up there. What does that say? 2.3. Yep, 2 pounds, 3 ounces. A little less than 2.5. Not too far off. Okay, what we got next is we're going to bag the meat. I've made from a roll material, I've made a long bag because I've got a long piece of brisket. We're going to put this into said bag. We're going to hold up the edge, take our spice mix. Notice how green with bay leaf that is. We're going to pour it in. We could add extra water if needed. We're going to put it up here, and if all goes well, we'll have air up, and we'll seal the bag like this, and we'll make sure that when we put it in here, we don't get the bag in this portion of this particular machine, because it will be pulling fluid up into the pump, and that'll get funky after a while, get real funky and stinky. So we don't want to do that. We just want to essentially lay it up here and seal it like that. Okay, in between film edits, what I've done is I've added another cup of water to get a better coverage of the brine on the brisket, and I squished out as much of the air, humping it up over there, and then what we do is we'll just pull her right back till we get our seal ready for right there. Close her down. Looks like our seal worked okay. Now what we'll be able to do is put this in the refrigerator, and over the next week we'll pick it up from time to time to make sure that the brine is squishing around the beef brisket. Okay, we're ready for the refrigerator and freezer. Now, make sausage, so I save that fat off. And you can see you got a little bit of meat on it, but it's not much. But we'll grind that up and add to deer when we make some deer products. And when we look at the corned beef, we see we didn't get all of our air out, but we got most of it. And when we fold that excess bag around, you see we're able to get the air on the top. And it's just one way that you can corn it. Some people just corn it in a pot. That's not a problem, but my refrigerator, sometimes we want to move things around, and this makes a nice, simple, easy package that we can massage from time to time to make sure the brine is getting to all of the pieces of the meat. But at the end, we want to leave the top side up with all the air bubbles we can get up at the top. Okay, while I was at the store shopping for meat, I went ahead and got a whole ribeye here. Now this is not too bad or great of a price either which one. It's $37 basically for 11 pounds of ribeye. But I'm going to put it on this here slicer, and I'm going to slice her into steaks and vacuum pack most of it and have a little of it for dinner. Let's see about what one of these ribeyes will weigh. That says 7.7 ounces. So that's about an 8-ounce steak. Comes out pretty good. Well, that's a 30 minutes worth of slicing and vacuum packing. That's, what is it, 9 packs. That last one is kind of oddball because it's got 3 in it, but they're right at a pound or so a piece. Some a little bigger than others. Here we have our package. It's been a week. You don't see any high volumes of gas being produced. It's a nice red. We're going to take it. We're going to put it in the pot, slice it in half, cook it up. That's dinner. Now that's corned beef.